Okay, picture this. A man sits at his kitchen table on a Tuesday night with two sets of bills in front of him. One stack is for the house he just moved out of, the mortgage, the utilities, the kids' school fees. The other stack is for the apartment he just signed a lease on. First month, last month, security deposit, all of it due at once. One income sits at the top of the page. The math doesn't work. That Tuesday night at the kitchen table is when divorce becomes a financial event. Not the day the papers were signed or the day he moved his boxes out. It is one of the most economically disruptive things that can happen to a person in the middle of their life. Yeah, this video is not about the emotional side of divorce. It is not about who was right or who was wronged. It is about the economics, the hard, specific, compounding financial consequences of one household splitting into two. And we are going to follow those consequences all the way through, from the first month's cost to the long-term retirement hit, from the tax bill to the credit score, from the setup costs of a new apartment to what your 401k looks like a decade later. If you've been through this, or you know someone who has, or you're thinking about what it would actually mean, stay with us. Because the numbers tell a story that most people are completely unprepared for. Before we get into the full breakdown, we want to take a quick second to mention today's sponsor, and then we're going right into the numbers. Hey, it's CJ, the creator of this channel. Before we continue, I want to tell you something. This video, the script, the voiceover, and the visuals, I made all of it with a tool I built called topictovideo.com. And here's the honest story of why it exists. I wanted to make money on YouTube and I didn't know how. I wasn't a videographer. I wasn't an editor. I wasn't interested in being on camera, and I didn't want to spend hours of my time trying to figure it out. But I kept seeing faceless YouTube channels building real audiences and making real money. So I built the system I used to create this video, and once it worked for me, it made sense to share it. This is what topictovideo.com does. You type a topic you're interested in, and the system researches it, writes a world-class script, generates a voiceover, builds the visuals, and puts everything together for you to publish to YouTube. No camera, no microphone, no fancy equipment, and no editing skills required. Try it for free at topictovideo.com. Let's get back to the video. Let's start with the most immediate and most concrete problem. You now have to pay for two households at the same time. Not forever in most cases, but long enough to do serious damage. Think about what it costs to set up a new place from scratch in your early 40s. You need a security deposit, which in most US cities runs 1 to 2 months rent. If your apartment is $1,800 a month, and that is a modest number in most metro areas right now, you're writing a check for $3,600 to $5,400 before you've spent a single night there. Then you need furniture, a bed, a couch, a kitchen table, basic appliances. You didn't take the furniture, that stayed with the house and the kids. A basic setup, nothing extravagant, runs $3,000 to $6,000 if you're being careful. Add a second set of utility accounts: electricity, gas, internet, renters, insurance. Another $200 to $350 a month. And back at the family home, those bills don't disappear. The mortgage keeps running. The utilities keep running. If there are children, childcare and school costs keep running, and now those costs are being coordinated across two addresses instead of one. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks household spending by family type through its Consumer Expenditure Survey, and the data makes the problem visible. A two-adult household shares fixed costs across two incomes. When that household splits into two one-adult households, those fixed costs, housing, utilities, insurance, don't split cleanly in half. Each household needs its own full set of infrastructure. The result is that total spending goes up while total income stays the same. Yeah, that's the core of the problem right there. Not a vague financial squeeze, but a structural mismatch between what you earn and what it now costs just to keep both households running. Yep, And here is where a structural cost enters the picture that most people have never heard of, and it makes everything more expensive. If your divorce was finalized after December 31, 2018, and you are paying alimony, you cannot deduct those payments from your federal taxable income. That deduction used to exist. For decades, a man paying $2,000 a month in alimony could subtract $24,000 a year from his taxable income, which meaningfully reduced his tax bill. Congress eliminated that deduction as part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. It took effect for any divorce or separation instrument executed after December 31, 2018, and it is confirmed in IRS Publication 504. The payer now pays in fully after-tax dollars. The recipient no longer declares it as income either, so there's a trade-off, but for the person writing the check every month, the deduction is gone. That's crazy. What does that mean in practice? If you're in the 22% federal bracket and you're paying $2,000 a month in alimony, the old system effectively cost you around $1,560 per payment after the tax benefit. Under the current rules, it costs you the full $2,000 every single month. Over a year, that's roughly $5,280 in additional after-tax costs compared to the pre-2019 rules on the same nominal alimony amount. And on top of the alimony change, your filing status shifts. You were married filing jointly, which carries a lower effective tax rate because the bracket thresholds are wider. Now you file as single or possibly head of household if you have qualifying dependents. But either way, the same income that was taxed at one rate inside a marriage is now taxed at a higher rate outside of it. IRS Publication 504 covers both of these changes, the filing status shift and the alimony deductibility rules. This is not a small footnote. It is a permanent increase in the cost of your monthly obligations baked into the tax code. So you've absorbed the setup costs, the deposit, the furniture, the moving truck, the doubled utilities. You've absorbed the alimony at full after tax cost. And at some point, the savings account empties out. That's when the cascade starts. Once the emergency fund is gone, the next unexpected expense, a car repair, a medical bill, a legal fee, goes on a credit card. That is not a character flaw. It is a math problem. There is no buffer left, so debt fills the gap. Now, credit card balances start climbing. As balances rise relative to your credit limit, your credit utilization ratio rises. Credit utilization is one of the primary factors in your credit score, and higher utilization means a lower score. A lower score means higher interest rates on any new borrowing, which makes the debt more expensive to carry, which makes it harder to pay down, which keeps utilization high. That's a loop that feeds itself. And while all of this is happening, retirement contributions slow down or stop entirely. Maybe you paused your 401k contributions to free up cash flow. Maybe you had to, but in your early 40s, pausing contributions isn't just a short-term setback. It's a compounding loss. Money invested at 42 has roughly 20 to 23 years to grow before a standard retirement age. Every year that money sits on the sideline is a year of compound growth that never happens. A $10,000 contribution made at 42 and left alone at a 7% average annual return grows to about $40,000 by age 65. That same contribution, delayed 3 years to age 45, grows to only about $33,000. That's a $7,000 gap from a 3-year pause on a single contribution. And most men going through this aren't pausing one contribution, they're pausing or reducing contributions for 2, 3, sometimes 4 years. Now add the Qualified Domestic Relations Order, the legal mechanism a court uses to divide your retirement account as part of the divorce settlement. If your 401k is considered a marital asset, a portion of it may be transferred to your ex-spouse's retirement account. You don't pay a penalty tax when this happens through a QDRO, but the balance drops. You may be in your mid-40s looking at a retirement account that has been reset to a fraction of what it was at the same time that you've stopped contributing. That's crazy, right? Two things hitting simultaneously that most people only vaguely understand are coming. Okay, and this is where the timing makes everything harder. All of this is happening in your 40s. That matters enormously, and here is why. If the same financial reset happened at 30, you'd have 35 years of runway to rebuild before retirement. At 42, you might have 23. That's not just a smaller number, it changes the math of recovery in a fundamental way. Rebuilding savings in your 40s requires a higher savings rate than it did in your 30s, just to reach the same destination. Because the time available for compound growth is shorter, every dollar you contribute has to work harder, and the expenses you're carrying in your 40s are typically heavier than they were at 30. Kids are older, which often means more expensive, not less. School activities, sports, clothing, and for many families, college is now visible on the horizon. Your lifestyle costs have probably grown over the course of the marriage. Cutting spending back to a 28-year-old budget is possible, but it's not easy when the structural obligations, child support, alimony, a lease are fixed. Career income may also be near its ceiling. Most men in their 40s are at or approaching peak earning years. There's less upside available from a raise or a promotion than there was a decade earlier. The income doesn't have as much room to grow into the gap. So you have a shorter recovery window, higher fixed expenses, a lower rate of return on future contributions because of less time, and limited income upside. All four of those factors are working against you at the same time. That's not a temporary setback, that is a structural change to your long-term financial position. All right, so what does recovery actually look like? Not a motivational version, the economic version. Stabilization comes in phases, and it is worth naming them honestly because most people underestimate how long each one takes. The first phase is stopping the bleeding. That means building a new budget that accounts for all fixed obligations, rent, alimony, child support, loan minimums, and figuring out what's left. For many men in the first year post-divorce, there is very little left. The goal here is just to stop adding new debt. The second phase is emergency fund reconstruction. Before you aggressively pay down debt or restart retirement contributions, you need 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a liquid savings account. Without that buffer, the next unexpected expense just reloads the credit card. Depending on how much cash was burned in the setup phase and how tight monthly cash flow is, rebuilding that buffer can take 1 to 3 years on a realistic timeline. The third phase is debt elimination. Divorce-era credit card debt typically carries interest rates between 20 and 28% annually. Carrying that debt is expensive and it suppresses your credit score. Paying it down restores both cash flow and credit profile. How long this takes depends on the balance and how much surplus you have each month. But 2 to 4 years is a realistic range for most people. The fourth phase is the return to retirement contributions. This is the last piece because it is the lowest urgency in the short term and the highest urgency in the long term. When contributions restart, they need to restart at an aggressive rate to compensate for the pause. If your employer offers a 401k match and you're not capturing it, that's an immediate guaranteed return you're leaving on the table. So matching contributions at minimum should restart as soon as cash flow allows. And then the honest closing note. Some men who go through a significant financial reset in their 40s, especially one that includes a QDRO, multiple years of reduced contributions, and a period of credit card debt, never fully close the retirement gap. That's not defeatism. That's the math being honest. The goal is to close as much of it as possible, as deliberately as possible. And the single biggest lever you have is understanding exactly what happened to your finances and in what order. Because the men who get out of this faster are the ones who name the cascade clearly and address each piece in sequence, rather than hoping cash flow improves on its own. That's the economic map. It's not comfortable, but it's accurate, and accurate is more useful than comfortable. Hey, before you go, let me tell you something that will sound strange. I have never recorded a single second of audio for this channel. I have never edited a clip. I have never sat down and written one of these scripts by hand, and yet here we are, all the way to the end, and you stayed. There was no one in a recording booth, no editor cutting between scenes, no designer making the thumbnail, no writer hunched over a laptop pulling the script together. The whole thing, every frame, every word, every cut, came out of a single tool. It's called topic2video.com, and I'm the one who built it. My name's CJ, and the reason I'm telling you any of this is because for many years, I was on the other side of the screen, watching videos exactly like this one and wondering how the people making them figured it out. I wasn't a creator. I couldn't edit. I wasn't going to put my face on camera. But I could see what was happening. Ordinary people running faceless channels and making real money while I sat there with ideas and no way to ship them. That gap is what topic2video.com closes. Here's how. You type a topic and my system researches it, drafts a script, generates the voiceover, builds the visuals scene by scene, captions everything, cuts the shorts, and cues the upload to YouTube. There are 12 production stages running in sequence and approval gates wherever a human judgment call matters. So you're never surrendering control, just the parts you didn't want to do anyway. No camera, no microphone, no software to learn. This video is the proof. If this video held your attention, if it taught you something, if it made you feel something, that's what the system produces. And your first one is free. Topic2video.com. Go find out what you can make. I'll see you in the next one.